Welcome to this special edition of the First Responder Wellness Podcast. Today I have with me Jeff Dill. He is the founder, director of the Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance. And we're going to talk about some things that are going on around the country, perhaps even around the world. Jeff, welcome to the program today.
I appreciate it, Conrad. It's always an honor to be a guest on your show.
Well, so you posted a thing recently on social media that you're just getting inundated with firefighter suicides. What is going on?
Oh, it's in the last 4 days, we've had 11 reports, 10 firefighters and 1 EMS to us. And that's just the ones that know who we are to send those.
Wait, 11 in the last 4 days?
10 firefighters and 1 EMS member in the since Friday. So it's, 4 days, and it's just incredible. It's overwhelming. I'm almost afraid to look at my phone or my emails because, whoever's reporting to me, and I keep it confidential because we are known. So I get, instead of the validation reports that come in, the confidential suicide reports off our webpage, people call me and then they text me and say, "Hey, Jeff, we just had a loss, or our department next to us, or have you seen this one, that happened in such a state?" And it's just, I can't explain it. And people always say, there's been a lot of studies out there that the holidays bring forth a lot more depression, but there's also a lot of studies that say there is no correlation to that. And I'm thinking, well, if that's true, that it's more around the holidays, then why do we get, 10 in July, or we had a lot in September, which is Behavioral Health Month, Suicide Prevention Month. And we had a lot of losses of our brothers and sisters in September. But this rash, I've been doing this, I put a post on this morning too. Been doing this for 15 years. At the end of 24, it'll be at the end of our 15th year. 11 in 4 days is something I cannot recall this happening to this such a dramatic aspect of losing our brothers and sisters in such a large number.
So tell us a little bit about what you do with that information.
Well, when the reports come in, and of course we keep it confidential, that's just the bond that I have, and we've had 100% compliancy. So the overall number right now stands at 2,128. And I still have 10 for 24 still to validate. Overall, 18 from the year 2000 to 24. A lot of them are tough you get volunteer departments, some EMS organizations. So it's difficult to validate some of those organizations, but they're on the chart, for me to keep on calling and following up with them. But we take this data, we kind of look at it, we put it into how we break it down, the age ranks, the methods, the reasons, and especially the reasons. Why are our brothers and sisters taking their lives? And so we found out very quickly early on that unknown is the number one known reason. So out of the 2,128 that I have validated, I've personally spoken to close to 2,000 fire chiefs or family members to validate the data. I've heard a lot of stories, Conrad, and it's just amazing what they're going through out there. But we found out very quickly the number one known reason is relationships, whether at work or in their personal lives. And we need to expand our thought process on this a little bit more because, yes, post-traumatic stress is very influence in our job, in our position as first responders. But relationships, they're playing a large role, and that's why that moral injury is so important. And that's why our white paper on the wounds of the spirit of moral injury for first responders, for firefighters, is people need to understand this. We need to promote this type of information that is out there where PTS is more trauma-based, fear-based. Moral injury hits more of our emotions, our feelings of guilt, our feelings of embarrassment, shame, not doing what we think we can do to try to save lives. And that's important because we're trained to save lives. Well, I was a fire medic for many years. And what we started finding in this past year when I'm out speaking at departments across the United States is that the percentage of save rate is actually about 5 to 8%. That's not a lot for the amount of training and a lot of people that we see and do that call us for help. And so those feelings of not doing, what we're trained to do really hits our emotions and the things that we see and do and that we struggle with. So this moral injury is something that we really need to make sure we stay at top of, get that out to the departments, get that out to the counselors, the chaplains, to understand you can have PTSD and moral injury at the same time, but they're two different types of treatment. And that's what our second white paper, or we're in the middle of white paper 2 on this, is the treatments of moral injury and how to assist the counselors and the clinicians, the chaplains, as well as our brothers and sisters in the first responder world.
Mm-hmm. So when you're validating these reports that you get, what's that process like?
Well, it's actually conversations. I get the report and I contact the fire departments and explain who we are. And I know some are a little apprehensive. They've never heard of FBHA. It's not like we go out and really promote who we do or what we do, but people do know us from conferences, from articles. And so we have those heart-to-heart conversations. We also impress upon the chief officers or who I've been assigned to speak to in regard to that, or the family members, that we do a lot for family members. We hold an annual weekend retreat for family survivors. It's the third week in May. This year we'll be back in Branson, Missouri. And on that Friday night, we do it'll be our 11th annual We Remember night, because these are different, Conrad, when you lose someone to suicide. As tragic as vehicle accidents are and disease, there's some understanding to what happened, but not for those that lost, those who died by suicide. They're looking for answers that they'll never find here on Earth. So getting that data, asking about the ages, the what type of issues they might have been dealing with. And like I said, a lot of times the chiefs or the families, they just don't know. And because we're damn good actors and we don't want to show any of that weakness. And that all falls into that cultural brainwashing that FBHA has been preaching about for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Is there, I know this has been debated, ad nauseum, really, in a lot of places, especially in law enforcement, as to honoring someone who died by suicide in the first responder community as line of duty. Is that something that's a real thing in the fire service?
It is. In 2024, of course, the IFF has been honoring our brothers and sisters as long as it was attributed to post-traumatic stress. Mm-hmm. And the NFF, they are working with the PSOB, and they will start in the future, and it might even be 24, that they will recognize those firefighters that died by suicide due to post-traumatic stress. So it is getting some recognized, but when you start talking about that recognition and accepting, it's two different things. Recognizing our brothers and sisters, but accepting it. And I use FBHA as a perfect example. We know all the great work that Tunnels to Towers does for our first responder, our military, and we know all the great organizations out there that are supporting military suicides. Don't get that in the first responder world. It's a struggle every day to stay afloat, because behavioral health and suicide is not one of those accepted issues in regard to society. And people, they hear about the soldiers, they hear about the police, but they don't hear about the first responders, the firefighters, the EMS, the dispatchers that are taking their lives. And it's hard for us to promote that. I mean, we don't do a lot of that donation request. It's not like, hey, if your department had a suicide, call us. We can help you and we'll do fundraising. And I've said this time and time again for many years. It's an ethical issue with me as well. I don't feel like I want to ask for money on the deaths of my brothers and sisters. It just doesn't seem right. But I also understand, as running an organization like this, that you have to have funds to keep the mission up. And like I said, we travel all over the country. As you know, we've crisscrossed on a couple of airplanes once in a while.
Sure.
It's important. We've got to get that message out, especially to our volunteers, our wildland, our military firefighters. So it's a task that I've truly accepted, But we do need that financial support. There's no doubt about it. That's the bottom line for us to continue our mission. And I hate to see more and more numbers go up based on the lack of getting out there and educating people.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, why are you keeping these records?
Two reasons, and how we started. We keep them to always remember our brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And the second one is to understand the reasons why. And that's how we got to that white paper on moral injury, when we started seeing relationships, personal and professional, were the number one known reasons by far, and then followed by depression. So then what we do is we base our workshops on them. We have 12 different workshops. So we take that data, we see where the issues are, and then we build our workshops on them. And these workshops, Conrad, they're not things I pulled off the internet. These are from years of experience of talking to our brothers and sisters, presenting through the weekend retreat for our family survivors. That's what makes us different than any other organization. No one can touch us about the data and the stats, but also over the million miles that I have traveled in the last 10 years speaking on this issue. But I am not an expert. I don't believe anyone can be an expert in this field. There's a lot of articles out there, Conrad, that say suicide is always preventable, and it's underlined. I don't believe that either. Yeah. I just don't, because all that does is say to the family survivors or the friends, hey, you missed something. You didn't do something, because it's always preventable. And it's not, because when our brother or sister is in that moment, what I call cognitive disconnect, when they are not thinking clearly, reality goes right out the window, and their best thought is, oh, I got to get rid of this pain that I'm struggling with, or my family would be better off. And if you're not standing there, they're not thinking, oh, I need to call my clinician right now. I hope they would be, or my peer support team, my chaplain, but they're not. And I have 11 examples of that in the last 4 days that says they're not.
Mm-hmm. And, sometimes the only way you can prevent something like this is being with them physically in the room.
No, absolutely. That's about the only way or preventative medicine. Preventative meaning keep on putting it into their head when they're struggling to reach out, do that internal size up. That's something I have talked about since 2012. Ask yourself 2 questions. Why am I acting this way? Why am I feeling this way? And listen to others, because they see us better than we see ourselves. Get the help. These numbers, these aren't numbers, Conrad. Right. These are faces and names of our brothers and sisters. And that is the tragic aspect of it.
Hmm. So what would you say to those people who are out there struggling? Perhaps they have a family member who's struggling. Perhaps they have, perhaps the chief, and they know, their captain or one of their firefighters is struggling. What words can you say to them?
We ask them to please push pride to the side. Reach out to FBHA. Reach out to your local peer support team, your counselors, your clinicians, your chaplains. Reach out to us. You can always contact me. My number, my personal cell phone's on our webpage at ffbha.org. Just go to it. My information's there. Our resources are there. We work very closely with the National Volunteer Fire Council. We created a behavioral health directory. We have FBHA has vetted over 600 counselors across the U.S. that work with first responders. There are some that they didn't make the list. But please reach out. Push that pride to the side. Our strongest motion is to reach our hand out, not always to always help someone, but to help ourselves.
So looking back at the last week, what do you think, in your estimation, is causing so many people to say, hey, I'm done?
Conrad, I wish I had the answer to that. Mm-hmm. I really do. It just varies. Anything from relationships to depression to legal issues to financial to religious. So it runs the gamut. That's why I say it's not always just, I had a lot of bad calls. I have a lot of bad things going on in my life. Mm-hmm. And, I've walked that walk. It's a long, dark, lonely walk. And so please, we try to inspire hope, that hope is around the corner. Stay another day, ask for help, stay another day, until all of a sudden you're walking out of the darkness into the light. So just give it one more day, give it another call, keep on going. I know it's difficult out there for my brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters, but please, it's well worth it. And, you see some of these family legacies where they've lost a father, then a son or an uncle. Change your legacy. Promote behavioral health at strength. Watch out for others. Challenge with compassion. Be direct if you see a brother or sister struggling. And it's difficult to ask, are you thinking of killing yourself? It's not hurting, it's killing. Hurting means I run into this wall 5 times, Conrad. We have to be direct, but challenge with compassion, just like what we do with the communities we serve.
So let me ask you this. So how are you doing in kind of processing all this data?
It's funny you ask, because I was talking with a person that helps me validate one major department in the United States the other day. And we were talking about this, and this person said that they were eating a lot all of a sudden. And I said, you know what? The other night I had some chicken, and then I had a piece of bread, and then I had 2 bowls of cereal. I've never done that, right back to back. And I just wonder if that is my process. I was able to recognize it, that binge eating is not going to solve the problem for anyone, especially me. But I've been blessed. My wife and I just celebrated our 44th anniversary, 44 years on Friday. And I have the support of the good Lord. He gives me my strength to listen to these stories, to help others and brothers and sisters. And I don't promote religion. It's just that's my core. And that's what I believe. So, but we're out here. We're here to help. So please reach out. Add that one extra day. Work with that hope. And I have a little. Here, I'll show it to you. This sits on my desk, and it says "Aspire to Soar in 2024." So I got to make up a new one for 2025. But that's Millie, which means moral injury lives inside everyone. That's her name, Millie.
So where can people find you guys? Where can they learn more about what you guys do?
Yeah, and I have no problem giving out my phone number, because it's out everywhere. My personal cell is 847-209-8208. J. Dill at FFB, as in Bravo, HA.org. Please give me a call. Let's find a counselor for you. Let's find some type of support system for you, even if it's an inpatient facility. I have validated about 7 that I've personally visited, and those are the places that I would feel welcomed at and feel good at with their program.
Well, Jeff, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for taking on this hard task of contacting these folks and having those deeper conversations. Thank you for that, and thank you for taking care of you.
Well, I appreciate it, Conrad, but it doesn't work unless we have people like yourself who are willing to talk about it and put it on the airwaves for people to listen. So I appreciate it, and I mean it. I'm honored to be on your show.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time, and it was good to see you the other week as we crossed paths at an airport. And
I thought, no, another person wanted an autograph.
We were on the same flight coming out of Vegas, flying to Spokane, I think. And it was like all of a sudden I looked over and I was like, that's Jeff Dill, and we happened to be on the same flight, so that was
sitting in economy.
Well, thank you again, and I hope you guys. And by the way, congratulations on your anniversary, 44 years. You. That's pretty significant. So
she's
awesome.
My best friend. Her name's Karen, and she's my best friend.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you again, and we'll connect again soon.
Sounds good, Conrad. You stay safe out there, okay?
I will do.